The 2 years I spent against Stability was really nice time, especially that run of games in the UEFA Cup when we beat 3 or 4 really big teams in Europe, including Blackburn and Parma and Sporting, and we had a really good team, and really enjoyed getting the wins over those games, and just disappointed not to go through against Valencia when we lost in extra time. So yeah, it was a fantastic experience. Look, I don't know enough about the quality of the league today, but I think in general the quality it's hard to compare the quality 20 years ago compared to now. It's a different type of football now. Back then there was some qualities that the players had, which players don't have now, and vice versa. There's some qualities, the game's a little bit quicker now, and so it's a little bit hard. But I feel that Turkey always has a really good national team. I think the early 2000s it was quite a strong team. And I think again now there's a lot of good young players coming through, and it will be yeah. I think they have a chance, like a lot of the European teams, to progress to the second round and to make a good result. Yeah, that was an interesting game because my former coach Ersen Yanal was the coach of the national team, and I had also two teammates who played also in those games. I think it was Serkan Balci and Deniz Barış. So for me, there was some special games, and it was a very friendly environment. But it was also friendly, so it's very different a game at the World Cup compared to a friendly game. But I think yeah, there's been quite a few Australians who have played in Turkey, like myself, and I think Mila Jedinak is another. But there's quite a few, and I think there's a big Turkish population also in Australia, so I think it will be a very interesting game. I think you're right. I think Australia, with their coach now, Tony Popovic, who is a former teammate of mine, he's a very disciplined coach, and the Australians will be very physical and they'll work very hard. Yeah, perhaps the skill level isn't as high as the Turkish team. I think the Turkish probably are a much more skillful team. So it will be an interesting game where Turkey will try to play and Australia will try to maybe get them on the counter or soak up the pressure and then maybe try to attack later in the game. I was at two of the last friendlies with the Australian national team recently in Australia, and Australia has also some very young, good, powerful players, and in both games, Tony Popovic, the coach, used some players off the bench, and they made a big difference and scored some goals and things. So I think the game will be a very interesting one. Look, that's a good question, and yes, both teams have some individuals who are extra quality. We watched last night at Real Madrid, the Turkish player, forget his name. Amazing player. Australia doesn't have players like this at big clubs like Real Madrid. So Australia will more rely on teamwork and discipline, whereas I think Turkey has the individuals to really make a difference like this at the drop of a hat. So. Yeah, I don't know the Turkish team that well. I got to say I haven't followed it that closely, but I'm sure that I'll have more of a look of them coming up to the game against Australia. Oh, why not? I think I've seen Turkish football, and I think the Turkish football back when I was there, it was very good, very skillful, strong. They had all the attributes to really to have a really good national team and to be a highly rated league in Europe. So I feel that with these young skillful players coming through, I think they do have a chance, and I think they need to prove themselves at a World Cup and make some results. Perhaps to try to get to a quarterfinal or something, which can really then push. The national team and their rating higher. It's the same for Australia. Australia has for years been the same, trying to push for some extra results to get through the first round of the World Cup and maybe another round to really lift a profile in world football, but it has been very difficult in Australia for the last 15, 20 years. Even though Australia has qualified every time, it still is very difficult at the World Cup. So yeah, I think that Turkey with young players is only one World Cup away from really making a mark in world football. As for favorites, I'm not sure. There's too many teams. I think England is a team that everybody has to watch out for because I think over the last all the time they play really well and they don't get anywhere, or they play really bad and they go far. So I feel that this time maybe England they've got a really good team and I think they can go far. But as for the rest, it's always the same few that are always going to be up there. A few of the South Americans like Argentina, Brazil. Then you have Spain, and then there's always a few surprises. For Australia, I feel that if Australia makes it through to the next round, it will be a good result, a really good achievement. I think for Turkey also, I think Turkey has to aim to get through to the next group, and then when it's one-off games, then anything's possible. If you have a little bit of luck, maybe you can make a run to the deeper part of the draw. So I feel that both teams will be looking to at least pass the group stage. Otherwise, they will feel that it's a failure. I look, Turkish football fans. I have really fond memories of Turkish football and my time in Turkey. And I wish the national team all the success for the World Cup. Not against Australia, of course, but hopefully both teams can get through to the next round, and we can watch some second round games as well, and the people can celebrate some victories.